Your 9-year relationship was with who? Yeah, I don't need name, but like, was it with a woman?
It was with a woman.
A woman. And the current relationship is with a woman, correct?
We're just not going to talk about that one. It's been asked that I don't mention about my current relationship.
Oh, I mean,
so
I don't.
Out of respect, I'm just
I don't
not
need
gonna
details, but
mention them.
is it a woman? I'm assuming it's a woman. I think you said it was a woman.
Sure.
Is it trans woman?
You're not picking up what I'm putting down. So anyways, I'm not going to talk about my current
I'm not sorry. I'm a man. And
That's okay.
I'm a cis het man, and I use words.
That's okay.
I don't read subtext.
There's
apologies.
just like out of the respect of my partner, I'm not going to discuss.
Their
Correct.
gender?
Their gender, yeah.
Sex?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Indeed.
Well, I appreciate you respecting the wishes of your partner. Why don't you date cis het men?
Because I'm not attracted to people who are born with male privilege.
That is an interesting one. You're not attracted to people who are born, I thought you were going to say penis, but you're not attracted to men who are born with male privilege.
Correct, yeah.
When you say, I have a couple questions here. When you say they were born with male privilege, wouldn't this include transgender women?
Typically, yes. I've never met a transgender woman that I was personally attracted to. Could it happen? I'm
Fair
sure.
enough.
But like,
Okay.
It just has not happened for me.
But you said you would date somebody who's trans.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be the miracle unicorn of all trans women.
But you would have to preclude them because they were born with male privilege.
Yeah, typically I'm not attracted to trans women due to the being born with male privilege thing.
Despite
It's a mindset.
Despite their current lack of male privilege being a transgender woman.
Mm-hmm. I respect them and I'm friends with transgender women. I just don't think that is for me in a relationship.
Curious, what is it about male privilege that wants, in terms of physical or sexual or romantic attraction, that would preclude you from dating somebody who was born with male privilege?
People who are born without male privilege actually understand what it's like to live life as a woman, whether they are a woman or not. So
See, that makes sense, Brian. For instance, I'm not attracted to people who have parking lot privileges.
I mean, I have a handicap placard, so I guess we wouldn't get along.
I guess not. I don't like people who have parking lot privileges. I think that that's gross, and I'm just not attractive to it.
That's all for you, man.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, can you elaborate a bit more, I guess?
On not being attracted to male privilege?
Yeah. You were in the middle of explaining it, so I was more curious.
It just comes down to like how I explain my sexuality. That's like the easiest, wittiest nod that I give to like why or what my label is, I guess.
Is there any intersection when it comes to like, do you give, I suppose, like, let's say there's an intersection of like they're black male. So they were born with male privilege, but there's an intersection whereby they do.
You're saying because they have another minority basis, so therefore am I attracted to that?
There's a vertical of like societal disadvantage.
So like in my personal history, I have primarily been around Hispanic, Asian of sorts, and white people. I can't answer on
You've
would
never
I
met
be
a
attracted.
black person?
I didn't say I've never met them. I just said that's primarily what I was like surrounded by when I was like actively dating or looking.
Okay.
I don't think that it's going to change anything for me personally, but I also don't think that like the world needs me in the fish sea. You know what I'm saying? Like there's plenty of fish in the sea. People say that all the time.
Sure.
I don't need to be an option.
Now,
for
is the ultimate thing here the privilege component, though? Like somebody who's born with like an...
It just comes down to like how people behave whenever they were born into male privilege. When you're raised a certain way,
would you date a white woman?
Like, sure. What does that have to do with male privilege?
Have you dated white women before?
No.
You've never dated a white woman?
No.
Asian woman?
No. Why is that relevant?
Well, my follow-up question will make it abundantly clear why it's relevant.
For sure.
But so you have dated women?
Yes.
Okay. Asian woman?
Because I said that's what I was surrounded by.
I'm just asking you a question. It's not a big deal. A black woman or Latina woman, or what are we talking here?
Primarily Latina, just because that's like what was in my area. And I just moved, so I've been like
just
in
to
the
be
same
clear,
area.
I'd like to just make an establishment on the hierarchy of like where you like see privilege. So your position is that Latina women have less privilege than black men?
No, I never said that.
I mean, you said you disqualify people on the basis of their privilege, but if you would not date a black man, I'm assuming your position would be that black men have more privilege than Latina women?
No, I think that's just you twisting it because you want
I'm
to
not twisting anything. You said I don't date people
with male privilege when they are born.
Right, but then...
What does that have to do with the color of their skin, though?
Right, but we were like kind of looking... It wasn't... Oh, just male privilege. So male privilege is like an across-the-board exclusionary thing.
That's like the easiest way to categorize who I am not attracted to, is people who are born with male privilege. So, yeah.
But like...
If they transition, do they adopt male privilege?
No. When you're born into a female body, you have to live without male privilege. When you adopt, like, that's not what I'm referring to of what I'm not attracted to. Like, yes, you gain male privilege, especially if you decide to transition and you're passing and all of those things. But I do think that you have a innate understanding for what it's like to not have it.
Okay. And is it specifically male privilege or is it the privilege?
No, male privilege.
Only male privilege?
Yeah.
So even if we were to do some comparison between like a given male and a given female, let's say that female has more privilege in like some verticals compared to the male, like would you date a woman who's more privileged than a given man?
Sure. I think it's like if you're born into a certain kind of privilege, regardless of what it is, depending on how much that shapes you and like the basis of your understanding of the world, if you behave like an overly privileged individual, I'm probably not going to be attracted to you.
I would like to explore that. So like you're saying essentially it's specific to the maleness of the privilege. For example, like you would not consider like a Latina woman who's like her parents were billionaires and she's totally able-bodied and she has no like physical limitations. You would consider her to be less privileged than like a black minority male born in like Compton to like impoverished parents?
I don't think that is, you can't equate those two. Like I would have to be in that personal experience. That's
Which one's
rough.
more privileged in totality?
I don't think you gave me enough information to decide who's more privileged.
Really?
Specifically because you're giving me like these little notes of what they are and who they are, and right?
So just to be clear, I'll
restate
this
able-bodied woman versus the black person. Okay.
No,
then,
let me. I'll give you. Hold on. I'll give you the two criteria. I'll give you the two criteria again. Who's more privileged? Latina woman born to billionaire parents who's able-bodied.
Yes, that is the answer. It is the obvious answer.
Versus black man born in impoverished Compton.
I completely get what you are coming at. I understand.
So who has more privilege?
She does.
Okay.
Overall.
So then would you be willing to date the black male who has less privilege than
male? No.
Okay. I think I understand
male?
your position. I understand your position. It's just interesting. I haven't heard it before, so.
Because that's still male privilege, right? Even if he were he was less privileged than the other guy, he would still have been born into privileged position just based on societal standings.
Yeah.
So if you were in a culture then which was matriarchal, would you only date men exclusively?
What the fuck? Don't read that. Go ahead. You can answer the question. Go ahead.
Would I only date...
Yeah, if you were born into a matriarchal society where women were the privileged ones, they were the ones who basically, they had a monopoly on force and all these different things. If that were the case, then would you only exclusively date men?
I don't think that I'm the right person to answer that, only because like my reason for not being attracted to male privilege comes down to like abuse.
What do you mean?
From my past.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I understand that.
So like in a hypothetical scenario, let's say your situation is we end up the same exact way we are right now. It's just that male and female are switched. Sure. Like that feels like a strange hypothetical, but I guess. Like it has nothing to do with appendages, if that's what you're asking me.
So the idea of what you're attracted to comes down, you think, to trauma, not by any sort of other external factor.
I mean, I have no idea what would have happened if I didn't go through the trauma that I went through because I was so young. So it's hard to say how it is for me personally. I don't think that trauma is the only reason why people are not attracted to males. However, for me, I don't think that I would ever be able to date someone who was born that way because of my trauma, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think that that's true for a lot of people, but for me personally, it's like a big stop up mentally.
Well, that seems different than the privilege thing, but
Yeah, and so then I guess my final wrap up on this, because we got stuck on it right away, right? Even just in the intros.
Yeah.
But just to kind of finish the exploration here, so you wouldn't advocate this as being prescriptive for other women, that hey, you shouldn't date men based along the lines that they're privileged, right?
No, not at all.
Okay.
all right. I'm going to let just 2 chats come through, and then we'll get back to the relationship status.